Now it is John's segment, the waiver wire targets for week 13. Honestly, before I had to give this to you, I was like, man, I was warning. I was like, man, these waiver wires are going to maybe get a little dicey, but luckily / unluckily, some injuries have occurred. So go ahead, take the wheel, my friend.
Yeah, so this week there's actually a lot of quality candidates. Maybe not available, all of these available in your leagues. I know a lot of these guys are taken up already, but a lot of quality candidates because of injuries, like you said. So starting off at quarterback, not due to injury, but a guy who we had on here a few weeks ago, and we've been preaching that the Saints should start him, and that is Taysom Hill. He provides rushing value, and in most leagues, scoring formats, passing is not worth nearly as much as rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. So a quarterback who can run, especially like Taysom can, that provides you a lot of value. I think that Taysom, he has immediate top 10 fantasy quarterback upside with the running ability. And, we get to see him. I don't think he's officially been named the starter, but potentially we even get to see him in action as soon as this Thursday against the Cowboys. So that's the quarterback. We're only going to have one this week. Moving on to running backs, we have a lot this week. We have 5, and that's because a lot of injuries have taken place. First up is Dontrell Hilliard from the Tennessee Titans. Wasn't super high on him last week. Just didn't feel like it was the prime opportunity for him to really show out, but he did against the Patriots defense. Large in part due to like a 70-yard touchdown, but he showed that he has that speed where he can break away and make an explosive play happen. And then even outside of that, I think he had about 70 yards, just rushing besides that one specific play. So he has home run speed, and it seems like I think there's still this sort of committee between him and Donta Foreman, but it seemed like he really took advantage of the opportunity the most. And out of every running back they've used so far, in the absence of Derrick Henry, he looked like he has been the best out of all of them. So Dontrell Hilliard, if you can get him in one of your leagues, I absolutely would, because it looks like he's probably going to be the running back moving forward. Next, Chuba Hubbard from the Carolina Panthers. And this one, I put Chuba as the guy because I assume he might win the job, but I'm going to put him hand in hand with Amir Abdullah, name flashback from the past. If anyone, was familiar with him when he was on the Detroit Lions. And also, I think he briefly played for the Vikings too. Anyway, both Amir Abdullah and Chuba Hubbard. I don't know who wins the job. I've heard people speculating that Amir will, because I think in this past game, once McCaffrey went out, had a majority of the snaps. But I also think that was because they were so heavily behind that he was in for a lot of the receiving work. Toward Chuba, I would honestly expect him to be the guy, because before McCaffrey returned from IR, Chuba was pretty much the only one that was, getting involved in that backfield. So I would say Chuba, but if you're in a deeper league and you desperately need a running back, I would say pick up both. And maybe, we don't actually know who wins the job. Well, like I said, I've seen a lot of people saying Amir Abdullah will. Next, Boston Scott from the Philadelphia Eagles. He's been in here quite a few times, but he's still available in a lot of leagues. And it just seems like the fear that Miles Sanders returning would steal any work away from him, it didn't happen. He still got his 15 carries. He still got his 60-something yards, and he did get the goal line carry for a touchdown. So I think that his value is pretty secure. That might change when Jordan Howard comes back, but honestly, with the way the Eagles have been running the ball, I wouldn't be surprised if once again they try to get all 3 involved heavily throughout the game. And I think for him, that means his floor is probably double-digit carries, and that's good volume for like a flex option, or once again, if you're in a deeper league and you desperately need a running back. Next, and this guy is probably the waiver wire pickup of the week, assuming that Dalvin Cook is going to miss any time. That is going to be Alexander Mattison. When Dalvin Cook does miss time, he puts up RB1 numbers in his absence. It doesn't seem like there's necessarily a drop-off fantasy-wise in the Vikings run game. So Alexander Mattison, if he's available, I would recommend picking him up. Unfortunately for me, I have Dalvin Cook in one of my leagues. I'm 8th on the waiver wire order. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to pick up Madison. Fingers crossed. Hope I do. And the final running back of the 5 that we have this week, Jamal Williams from the Detroit Lions. It looks like DeAndre Swift got hurt in their previous game, Thanksgiving Day game, and he could be, once again, another major running back set to miss some time. And we know how talented Jamal Williams is. Last year, when Aaron Jones did miss time, I think Jamal started for 3 games, and in all 3 games, he put up over 20 fantasy points. So Jamal Williams, very talented back. He's not going to have that same ceiling like he did in Green Bay, because it's Detroit. They're not nearly as good. But still, the volume will be there. He could be a solid contributor in fantasy, especially since without DeAndre Swift, it's just his backfield. Moving on to wide receiver, we only have 2 this week. First up, Juwan Jennings from San Francisco. This is under the assumption that Deebo Samuel is going to be missing time. I think it's already confirmed he's missing 2 weeks. It might be more than that. Might be 3.
They said 1 to 2, but
1
like
to
I
2.
mentioned,
Okay.
/ I'm not a doctor. It could be more, just because that's groin injuries are a B word. So
yeah, if you have Brandon Ayuk and you were able to, you held on to him or you picked him up, be excited as an Ayuk owner because this Deebo unfortunate injury could mean more volume for Ayuk. But also that means that Juwan Jennings could have an elevated role in this offense, filling in for Deebo Samuel as the wide receiver. I don't think they'll get him involved like Deebo did when it came to running the ball. Maybe that flips over to Ayuk. Maybe they just ride Elijah Mitchell. I don't know what the plan is there. But Juwan Jennings should be the wide receiver that is going to fill the void for Deebo Samuel when it comes to running routes out on the outside. The next wide receiver is Desean Jackson from the Las Vegas Raiders. He's getting more and more involved as the weeks go on. I know that his stats weren't necessarily, crazy against Dallas. I can't remember exactly what he had. I think he had like 3 catches for like 90 yards and a touchdown. That's good fantasy numbers right there. The catches, you'd be like, okay, well, maybe it's just because he's a deep threat. I think that he's getting really involved. I think he had quite a few catches in this game. I think it was 2 specifically that were deep bombs that he probably could have caught, but turned into pass interference on Anthony Brown. And so I think that Derek Carr is just loving having the speed there. And obviously he's filling in for the Henry Ruggs role that, was taking the top off of defenses. And this offense is the most reliant offense in the league on explosive plays. So having the deep threat in that offense, that's something you want to have on your bench, and potentially even start him in certain matchups where they're playing a secondary that gives up a lot of explosive plays. At tight end, Foster Moreau, once again from the Raiders. Darren Waller got hurt against the Cowboys. I don't know the timetable on if he's going to be missing time. If he does, Foster Moreau's the guy. I think he had like 9 catches in the game against the Cowboys. He was heavily involved. We've seen him even with Darren Waller in certain games. He's a red zone target. And I think that with Darren Waller out, that should only increase his ability to get involved in the red zone. So Foster Moreau absolutely would be picking him up if you need a tight end, especially with how volatile the tight end situation is and how reliant this offense is on their tight end. Foster Moreau, I think that he could be a tight end 1 in the absence of Darren Waller over the next however long. And finally, the last tight end, Cole Kmet from the Chicago Bears. With Andy Dalton leading the offense, Cole Kmet got very heavily involved. He had a pretty big target share. I think it was over 20%. And I think once again, I think he had 9 catches too. I'm going to pull this one up because I don't want to be wrong on this one. I was more confident in the Foster Moreau stat. Bears, Lions, Andy Dalton had 317 passing yards and Cole Kmet 8 catches, not 9, 8 catches for 65 yards on 11 targets. Led the team heavily in targets. The next closest was 8 targets to Darnell Mooney. And after that, steep drop off 5 to Damiere Byrd. So once again, massive target share to Cole Kmet. And I think it's only a matter of time that he becomes the true tight end 1. We know that Jimmy Graham has sort of split time in there for years, but I think that Cole Kmet is their tight end of the future. He was a really good talent coming out of college. And I think this could be the beginning of him starting to really get more and more involved in this team when it comes to being the receiving tight end. So that is the waiver wire pickups for week 13. Don't be one of those people who's not active on the waiver wire. The waiver wire can win you leagues. Just look at Elijah Mitchell. He was a week 1, I think it was week 1 waiver wire pickup, and the guy is a beast.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to look at my sleeper team, but that's probably not the best best for representation. But I mean, yeah, in other leagues, I've been if you struck out drafting, drafted Christian McCaffrey like I did in one league. Yeah, you should be just like John mentioned. Like it's very hard. I've only seen one person that didn't really do the waiver wire win a league, and granted, their one of their few pickups was Kenyan Drake the year that he went off in the end of the season, and of course I played him. It was I hate Kenyan Drake, so yeah, like literally who would have expected Kenyan Drake to have 4 touchdowns in week 16? No one did, but guess what? It happened. So. Especially just take a shot. Like, especially if you're going to be making the playoffs and you have a guy that, like, you're not confident. Like, I dropped Miles Sanders. I'm not dealing with that situation. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not saying that you should, but like John mentioned, like, if trying to make moves, not just for this week, but going forward. Like John, if you have Dalvin Cook, you should probably at this point have Alexander Mattison. He is your insurance. So, but anyways, that is the Week 12 reactions, balls of the week, and Week 13 waiver wires, waiver wire pickups. We will be back on Thursday. Oh, let me pull up the spread for your Dallas game here. I know Mike McCarthy has COVID. I know you do get
McCarthy has COVID. Dan
Amari-
Quinn's going to be the interim coach. Amari Cooper still has symptoms, so
I
they're
think he's
saying if he
expected to-
doesn't,
Oh,
they're saying
really?
if he doesn't practice tomorrow, he will not play.
oof.
So apparently he's still got a cough. He's in the building, so that's there, but he hasn't practiced yet. So
Oof, tough.
I don't know the status. I'm honestly going to err on the side that he doesn't play.
Yeah.
But DeMarcus Lawrence is back. I think he's missed 10 games so far, but he will be back.
Okay.
So that's good.
Yeah. Anyways, spread
And
sorry.
CeeDee Lamb. Sorry, CeeDee Lamb will be back too after missing last week.
Okay, that's actually key. So anyway, Dallas is actually favored by 4.5 this game in New Orleans on Thursday night. I'm going New Orleans. I think they pose I think they'll be a tougher matchup, especially with Taysom Hill. I'm not entirely confident. I think there's a weakness on your defense. One of them is going to be a run game, and especially Saints do have a big old line. I think I'm gonna go Saints. I'm not as confident they'll win, but I think it'll be a close game. I mean, they have to. I think another stat I saw: Sean Payton hasn't lost 5 games in a row, and they're very close to doing that.
Yeah, this would be the 5th. Ooh, this is a tough one because both teams have been struggling over the last 4 games. I mean, Cowboys lost 3 out of the last 4. Saints lost 4 out of the last 4. And I wish they had started Taysom earlier because it's tough to really know what we're going to see out of this offense. We know
Who
they're
knows
going
if
to
he'll
run the
even
ball.
start? Like, granted, if he doesn't start, we'll change our picks and we'll let y'all know. But
In practice, that he's gotten the first team reps the last 2 days. So I would be shocked if they didn't. But yeah, there's still the question there if he even does.
Now,
Alvin Kamara is still questionable.
Trevor Siemian is somehow the starter. I just want to note publicly, and just for you and for everyone, other people that do our picks, my pick is switching to Dallas. I'm sorry, I've seen enough from Trevor Siemian. Like, this is, yeah. Sorry, Trevor, if you're watching, but like, it's just the truth, man. Like, there's a reason you're a third string size backup. You're a solid one, but yeah,
it's true. I'm gonna go with the Cowboys.
Okay.
I don't like the unknown of Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara could be back and all that stuff. And Zeke's banged up, but he is not on the injury report anymore. And we don't know about Cooper. There's just a lot of unknowns.
it's like this whole year, man.
But I'm gonna ride with my team. I'm gonna take the Cowboys.
All right. So John's going Cowboys to cover. I am going Saints. Granted, like I said, if it's Trevor Siemian running out there to start the game, my pick is Dallas. Just so. All right. So we'll see what happens there. That is the podcast, and we will see you all Thursday/Friday, whenever the next episode comes out. But enjoy your week, and that'll be all, y'all.